of the podcast, and today we're going to be reviewing Spider-Man Homecoming. It will be full of spoilers, so you've been warned. As always, I'm your host, Kate, and I'm here with Adrian.
Hey, how's it going?
And Matt.
Hello.
What were your initial hopes for this movie?
I guess my initial hopes was I was excited for this movie, but I also did not want it. Hopes it wasn't a complete kid movie, like basically how the Ultimate Spider-Man, the cartoon that has been running for. Excited to see, though, Marvel actually do a Spider-Man movie, considering they were coming off of Andrew Garfield's two Amazing Spider-Mans, which in my opinion were not that great.
Play-Doh Electro, I believe is what they call it. I heard like 3 different like Spider-Man reviews, and they were talking about Garfield's Spider-Man, and they both said that Electro looked like Play-Doh. Now, I actually thought that Jamie Foxx was a good Electro, but they likened him to Play-Doh. Which I can kind of see now.
I can kind of see now, but I thought Jamie Foxx out of that whole movie was probably the best character in that entire movie. But
I've only seen it once. I don't even remember what it looks like. I thought he was the most endearing character, I think, in that whole movie.
Yeah, that's how I
he
felt.
Was. Yeah,
compared to everybody else.
Emma Stone. But Emma Stone's pretty much good in almost anything she does.
Going from Matt's comment about coming off of The Amazing Spider-Man, my biggest thing was I was hoping that the CG would look seamless, because in The Amazing Spider-Man, in those 2 films, the CG is really, really heavy-handed, and you get like Electro Play-Doh and really weird looking spider webs because of how differentiated it is from the rest of the scene. So that was one of my main hopes, because I knew after watching Civil War that they were going to use like a CGI, CGI'd Spidey. And so I was hoping that when they did do that, that it was going to look good and not cheesy.
I think the biggest thing that I wanted was just a good Peter Parker and a good Spider-Man. I think first and foremost, because, the first edition, and not like, the first like 70s, 80s Spider-Man movies, but like the Tobey Maguire, he's pretty good Peter Parker, but he's an awful Spider-Man, and Andrew Garfield was the opposite. So I just wanted a good, well-rounded actual Spider-Man where I was like, oh, that's a good Peter Parker, and oh, that's a good Spider-Man. I think that was my biggest hopes from what we saw in Civil War.
Yeah, and I didn't do like a detailed Twitter poll. Like I didn't break it down into all 4 choices, but I kind of just ran one asking our Twitter followers and whoever like saw the Spider-Man Homecoming hashtag whether or not Spider-Man Homecoming had lived up to their expectations, and 78% said yes, it did. Or no, it was 87%. There we go. Got those numbers flipped around. Said yes, it did. So I know that like critically it's gotten a lot of acclaim, but it didn't break any records, which I thought was kind of weird. It hasn't said anything. It hasn't said any box office like breaking news, this is now the top selling movie type thing, which I was kind of surprised of. But if we get into like the bulk of the movie, this movie, we don't get an origin story, which I was really freaking happy about. I don't want to watch Uncle Ben die like 10 more freaking times.
I feel like everybody was just excited that we didn't have an origin story. Like they could have put anything as long as it wasn't an origin story.
Yeah.
People would have been happy.
If it wasn't an origin story, everybody
it's
would
like
have been there.
watching Bruce Wayne's parents die. Like I don't need that anymore. Stop showing me Bruce Wayne's parents dying. Like I don't need to see Uncle Ben die again.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they skipped out on it.
And I think that's the good thing is we get Spidey pretty much. We get him post Civil War, and the intro to the movie is this awesome kind of like. What is it, like not found footage, but it's first person POV, and it's him experiencing what it was like to go to was it Berlin, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Go to Berlin, and the little like hoarding himself like, oh my god, I took a shield, guys, and then like he gets thrown back, and so like you get to see him and how he was feeling during that fight. And then it throws you automatically into his world. And this is a world where he's already decided that going home after school to be Spider-Man is what he looks forward to during his day. That being said, it's not because there's like some terrible thing happening at school. It is just because like Spider-Man is his life and he wants to do this. And that's where he wants to spend all his time. I believe they say that, the Peter Parker in this world is in, I I'm trying to like do this objectively before we get into like how we talked about these things. He's in a kind of like a self-contained, I believe DJ, shout out to DJ Tech. He's a Twitch streamer who like really loves Spider-Man. He was explaining it, and he explained it as a nerd school. So like everybody there is nerdy and everybody there is smart. And like being on the Quiz Bowl is equivalent to like being a jock, and like everybody has different parts of them that are super, super smart. So that's a Peter Parker that we get here. We don't get the Peter Parker getting bullied narrative per se. I think they try it. And then we get the introduction of a character that I thought was going to go really crappily. But Vulture. Vulture is brought to life by the great Michael Keaton. And I want to hear what you guys thought about his introduction to the movie, which is he starts off as a contractor to clean up all the mess that the Chitauri have brought, and then the government ends up taking it over, and he turns to a life of crime, making super weapons out of alien stuff. What did you think?
Well, the first thing I want to say is I got confused because he said 8 years ago, and I still haven't figured out how this is 8 years ago.
Because it's not 2020 yet?
Yeah. That threw me off, that whole entire scene, because he said 8 years ago, and I was like, wait a minute, I could have sworn that was like 2012 with Avengers 1 when all this happened. It's only 2017. I'm confused. So I could be wrong, and like,
no, you're not. I think that's something that at least Instagram pointed out. I think.
Yeah, no, like I didn't know if it was just me, but I was like, I feel bad because I literally missed it. I spent the first like 3 minutes while they were talking, literally trying to do math in my head, wondering like and recap every single Marvel movie, wondering what I missed.
Yeah, I think they just placed it in 20. Like this movie takes place in like 2020.
Okay, I mean if that's what they're going with, that's fine. It was just
movies are not subject to time.
Well, we know that, but just the way the way the universe has gone, at least the MCU, it seems like they're kind of riding at least the same timeline of like with current events per se. I did like the Vulture though. Sorry.
Yeah. So back to what the main question was: how did you guys like Vulture? Because he was technically still in a green suit with fur. What did you guys think?
They pulled it off so well. I thought it looked dope. That's like. I thought he's easily the best villain MCU's had since Loki.
Yes.
And they didn't kill him.
Yes.
So we are going to get more of him, which is like the best thing because Marvel just kills all of their villains. Yeah, like they just kill them off randomly, like except for Loki. But like it's just like having Vulture like one of his first villains like in the comic and like pulling it off as stupid as he looks in like the original comics and doing it well, I think is a huge.
As stupid as he looks
plus.
in any other media of him.
Yeah.
Like, not even just in the original comics.
You should see him in the Ultimate Spider-Man, how they portray Vulture. It is awful.
Yeah, he's just stupid. And then them able to pull it off is really great. Them being able to pull off, 3.5 villains in the movie, I think, is pretty good, too, with Vulture, Tinkerer,
and Shocker. Yeah.
2 Shockers.
It didn't feel like you were being overwhelmed with villains.
Yeah, like in Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3. So
yeah,
I think they pulled off 3 villains better than anything else could have.
And I think they did that because I think they really trusted the fans to kind of get it.
Yeah, no, we've talked about it before. Well, we'll get into Easter eggs and stuff and nods later. But I think this movie does it so well of comic book nods, better than almost any other Marvel movie really out there. Them not beating you over the head with it, and if you don't get it, you're stupid, and you have to go back and read 60 years worth of comics to understand this reference. But yeah, Vulture's great. And them kind of basically setting up Sinister Six gives us more Michael Keaton hopefully in the future. So I'm down. I
really loved that he still had the fur, but it was worked into an aviator jacket. I thought that was really, really badass. I can't, it could have been so bad, but it was so right. And I think my favorite thing was that his wings were a freaking mech suit. And all of the little feathers worked independently of each other. The intricacies that they put into the Vulture mech was awesome.
It's so much better than Falcon. That was
yes.
Vulture, Falcon.
Why can't Falcon look like that?
As much as I like Falcon, that is just way, 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 way better.
I'm just waiting for Falcon and Vulture to meet, and Falcon to, because they're gonna do it. He's just like, shit, Tony, why don't I have this?
I like the way they did the. Obviously, it was night vision, but I guess they attribute to the green his way his eyes were with the suit and stuff. So it made it look almost like, because of the green light, and I guess it was metallic. It looked green for the most part.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the really cool thing too is they made his suit, or I guess it wasn't even a suit. They made his wings fully functional. Like they used it as an airlock shield too when he's doing that the hijacking at the end right before the big battle. Everything was with a purpose, which is really refreshing to see in a superhero movie. Because a lot of the times they just jam in as much tech or whatever they want and like, ooh, look at the pretty things, and not all of this has a purpose.
Love Michael Keaton.
I want him in everything.
Anything that he can play wings or have wings.
Can he look like a bird or a bird-like character? Cast him. He'll do well. I guess going from that, I'm trying to stay with the story here and not get too lost. But the other thing that I really like that they do is all of the characters that are around him in the school are actually established characters in different Spider-Man continuities. So Ned, his best friend, who finds out that he's Spider-Man, which in the most awesome way possible, he's building a Death Star and then just drops it because Peter's on the ceiling. And he's like, "What are you doing here?" "I said we were going to come build the Death Star."
Yeah, it's straight from Miles Morales, which I assume you're going to...
Yes, that's what I was leading to. Yeah, Ned is a nod to Miles Morales' best friend. So they did really well at working in all these different characters. I don't know if we want to go into critiques yet, or do y'all want to save that for the end, or do it as we go?
Well, I think just the amount of character, like I said before, the comic book nods that they put in there are just so plentiful. Like having Betty Brant being the awkward anchor on the TV, the school TV show, I think is awesome.
And his love interest Liz is actually the name of Spider-Man's very, very, very first girlfriend. She predates Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy.
As is Betty Brant, and having Betty Brant in there maybe set something up like that for later. Having an Asian chick named Cindy in there.
Cindy
possibly
we talked about
sets up something for Silk.
Mm-hmm.
Having a black kid named Abe sets up probably Black Tiger. There's just so much in it.
And
they set up that world so well.
They did, and they also set up. They have Prowler in there, Miles' uncle, who nods that his nephew lives in the city. And it was played by Donald Glover, who, as we talked about in our Spider-Man episode, go listen to it, episode 24, was one of the bases for Miles Morales' character in the comic book. And he voices him in the television show. All that being said, they brought in a world of characters. Personally, I think, so there's two things. I'm going to do a good sandwich. So I'm going to give my critique right here. And then I'll say something good when I'm done. The critique was that they gave us really great characters, but I don't feel like they did much for me to know any of them beyond the surface. For any of the side ones, which is okay. But I feel like with Peter, you at least really got his connections with everybody else that was around him in at least in the previous Spider-Man movies, but also in the Spider-Man that I'm used to. I felt like there was a disconnect with his personal life because of that. It maybe wasn't strongly as played as we talked about. One of the big reasons him being important is that in the struggles that Spider-Man goes through is that he is equal parts Peter and equal parts Spidey. And I felt like this was heavily weighed on Spidey because we don't get enough of that cast interaction with Peter. That being said, holy crap, they did a really good job at making people look like high schoolers. None of those people are high school age. And they all look like friggin' high schoolers. I thought they were like 14.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, like
I've never seen that done so well.
Like, I'm fine with them not going like too into depth with some of his friends and stuff, just because like this is like the intro. I want to know about Spider-Man, or like I want to know about his like kind of like coming of age before you start getting into all these, because they could have easily like given you, because the movie was already like what, like 2.5 hours long, like they could have definitely given you stuff on, you know, Cindy Moon, or like they could have given you more stuff on, you know, Flash Thompson, which you don't need. And I think it just would have like weighed down the story a little bit, in my opinion. But they also set it up where you could do more of that, because he's only like a sophomore in high school, so like and he's signed on for like 5 movies. Like there's plenty of time for them to,
I see what you're saying, and I guess like let me rephrase it. Like I didn't need more background information on them. I needed more meaningful interaction between him and them. Like I needed more meaningful interaction between Peter and them. Like I needed his choices actually affecting what was going on with his interpersonal relationships on that side. But I do agree. I think they've totally left the door wide open to build a world, to build a Spider-Verse in the coming MCU movies, since the follow-up to this is going to be the start of the next phase. So, yeah, a good sandwich. Because I have, yeah. Yeah. What did you think?
I kind of been a little quiet, but I mean, it was... I didn't care for a lot of the extra characters from the high school, honestly. The interactions, like you said, I didn't think they seemed very superficial.
Yeah.
Some of them seemed forced. There wasn't a lot of depth involved in them. I know it sets up a lot of the other stuff, which is great, but I guess it's other stuff down the road.
Yeah. I mean, and I do think too, I guess... I think the good thing that I did like about the fact that these characters weren't extraordinary, that they were just characters there, was this was probably the most diverse freaking Marvel movie or superhero movie in general when it comes to casting.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, and it was fulfilling a role that like a lot of people of color, like, we don't have to be extraordinary characters. Like, just put us in the fucking background. Like, make us look like we are a part of the world. And I say that specifically because New York is a really, really, really diverse city. The fact that they had a cast of characters that was reflective of that was really nice, and they didn't have to be extraordinary. That being said, I thought there should have been like more than, like Matt said, superficial interaction with some of them at least. Not all of them, but like...
How many meaningful interactions did you have with people in high school?
A lot.
How many of those people do you still talk to?
None, because they all had kids.
I thought they played high school super well. Like, you don't have... Not every conversation you have with somebody is like gonna change your life. Some of them are just going to stupid debate meetings.
But what I don't get there, though, is high schoolers are really freaking petty. I remember how I was in high school, and if you blow me off, I'm not going to take you to freaking homecoming. Sorry.
I guess that's what the whole, like, why I had a problem, because you talked about, like, guess when in these interactions obviously being either not meaningful or meaningful, you know, superficial as it are forced, was because I didn't feel within these interactions there was any consequences.
Yeah.
The Flash Thompson character design, whoever decided he was supposed to be the quote unquote bully and call him Penis Parker or whatever.
Yeah.
Whoop-de-doo. That was,
I guess from this,
unnecessary and horribly done.
So can we all just agree that Flash Thompson was a bad character in this movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awful.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're on the same page there at least.
Because I love the actor, like Tony Revolori. I can't pronounce the last name. Yeah, he's awesome. Like, funny dude. He's amazing. I just didn't like him in this. I thought, and that's not his fault. Like, that's
it was the writing.
Yeah,
that's what they wanted that character to be.
The writing for that character, I just could not stand, and I was like, this just sounds awful and unnecessary.
It's really like only my glaring issue with the film for me is just that part, really. Because, I mean, I don't really like Flash Thompson anyway. I would have hated him if he was like a big, stupid jock. And I hate this Flash Thompson. So, like, I don't really know if I'm missing too much.
Yeah.
Because I already hate him. So I think that's kind of like the goal.
But I think the difference is like, at least with the other Flash Thompson, you hated him for a reason.
Yeah.
Because he was like tormenting Peter. Like in a way that like Peter like physically had to hold in his Spider-Man self because he wanted to push back, but he stayed like he personally like he could have broken out of that and he doesn't many times. That's part of his struggle while he's in school.
Well, he kicks the shit out of Flash Thompson in the first Spider-Man.
Oh yeah,
so,
no,
like,
yeah.
I don't know how much he's holding back because he beats the shit out of him. But this is one like just to semi-defend it. Like one, it's a nerd school. So there's not going to be a bunch of jocks. And then two, I think like a small nuance that they did with the character that like the other Spider-Man, like the original Spider-Man didn't do is like they made him love Spider-Man, like the actual character of like the actual Spider-Man. Because like in the comics, like he leads the fan club. So like them having him actually like Spider-Man is something a little bit different, which I did like.
Yeah, they did do that well.
See, I wish since we were talking about a nerd school, and obviously we didn't get like the whole jock aspect of Flash Thompson, I wish they would at least made him like match at least, I guess, wit and smart wise versus Peter. If you were going to try to have him like as a quote unquote bully rival,
if
where
he's
he
going to
can
be
do something.
Yeah, if he's going to be a bully, he has to rival Peter in some way. If it's not in physical size, because he doesn't have to be a meathead, like. Make him actually be intimidating in some way. That too, and I think the one thing that I also don't like is it kind of reinforces the stereotype that if you're a jock, you can't be smart, because there was nobody who looked that way at that school, and I don't like that personally.
It's not too far off. I mean,
if
you're a jock, you're not going to a science school, so you can't play football anymore.
I did. I went to one of the top biology schools in the country.
Yeah.
How much sports did you participate in?
I was a 3-year starter for my football team. I played baseball for 2 years. Also ran track.
Well, they don't establish that there's any sports at that school.
I
probably wasn't sports at that school.
I guess what I'm saying is, and this is me honestly like coming out for the guys. Like, you can be an attractive guy physically and still be smart, the same way that there were attractive women, or like I guess Liz is attractive and is also known to be smart at that school. You can also have that equivalent there, and I guess Tom Holland's supposed to be that, but I don't know. Like, nerds don't all look like the prototypical nerd, but I mean that's neither here nor there. It wasn't a gripe with the movie. It's just kind of like me looking back at it and kind of wanting like Flash Thompson to actually give some of that struggle of what school is like for Peter.
I guess
if you're going to bring him up at all.
Well, we're talking about like, I guess I was also bringing up the point, like, so he quits the team for the quiz bowl, or just quiz, I can't show up. So they're like, okay, gone. He literally walks up there like, oh, I can make it, guys. They would have kicked Flash Thompson off the team and say, sure, hop on the bus. What consequence
Peter
was there?
seems like the bully. Because Peter comes in and he literally gets everything that Flash has in the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't even show up for the entire quiz bowl because obviously he got stuck in, I guess,
and there's the scene when they're doing the Captain America's fitness program, and like Ned puts him on the spot because he's like, Peter knows Spider-Man, and then Flash tries to make fun of him, and then that actually gets him invited to Liz's party. Yes. Like it seems like and this might just be like a conscious choice of then not wanting to show bullying for whatever reason, but it's kind of like everything that Flash does seems to backfire on him. Except, I guess, for calling him Penis Parker, but Parker wasn't even there to see it, so I don't see what type of effect.
He abandoned his friend there the entire day, and his friend showed up the next day like, what happened, man? Like, you left me. But that wasn't a deal. Like I said, he didn't show up to the quiz bowl. Nothing happened to him. He got to get some detention with Hannibal Buress, which
I wish he had talked more in that movie. I wish he had more lines.
And then he got to go to homecoming.
Yeah.
With the captain that he pretty much abandoned.
Yeah. But
I don't know.
Yeah.
At least from that standpoint, I didn't see any struggle or any consequences. Even when he disappeared, all that stuff, all he told Aunt May was, oh, I lost the internship. She's like, oh, it'll be okay.
Yeah. Which I will say this, Marissa Tomei did not think she was going to be a good Aunt May. I like her. She's a pretty good Aunt May. They're just not poor. But it's whatever.
No.
But she's a pretty good Aunt May. Like, I don't think Aunt May needs to be old anymore.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I also think he's poor. He's trash digging to get stuff in the first, like in Civil War. Flash Thompson is driving like a Bentley to like homecoming, and he's taking the bus or like the train to get to school. Like, it's not like he's not poor.
I don't think that means you're poor in New York, though, because the majority of people take the train. And I also, like, I don't know, I guess because, like, I grew up really poor. Like, my mom wouldn't have taken me to go get a new suit. Or, like, if my mom burnt dinner, she wouldn't have taken me to go somewhere.
He, like, patched that together. Did you see it? I thought that was, like, a perfect example of, like, him not being poor. Like, they patched his outfit together in that whole scene. They didn't go buy it.
Did they?
Yeah, they just patched together with stuff in the closet. No.
Okay.
He looks like a dork. Like, his shoes don't match his suit. No, they patched it together.
I thought that Converse was like an active, like, young people thing. I remember when I was in high school, we wore Converse with everything.
Well, this is 2020,
everything.
so you don't know how the styles are then. So
yeah. No, I don't know. I guess, like, but I don't know. We don't have too much background on their family life. But then again, like, the fact that I'm getting some of this wrong, like, it just, like, I don't feel like I know Peter Parker's life. Like, I don't feel like, I don't want to say Tom Holland was a bad Peter Parker, because I don't think he was. But I also don't feel like I got a good sense of who Peter Parker is, at least in his personal life. That's the only thing. Like, none of his Peter Parker-ness sticks with me.
That's personal preference, I guess.
Like, that being said, though, he's a damn good Spider-Man.
I think he's a damn good Peter Parker, too. I think he's he's more well-rounded than either of the other Spider-Man characters.
Well, I guess well-rounded as a whole, yes, but I don't think he's a good Peter. I don't think he has enough Peter Parker for me.
I think he fits what Disney's done with Ultimate Spider-Man.
You say that, but, like, they're doing Ultimate Spider-Man. They're not doing...
I know, that's why I said he fits exactly that
like the comic Ultimate Spider-Man, not like the newest Disney. Because, like, they're doing stuff from, like, the Spectacular Spider-Man in, like, the early 2000s that's based on Ultimate Spider-Man, the actual comic. So it's not necessarily, like, Disney Ultimate Spider-Man. It's just the Ultimate Spider-Man comic from 2000, like, 2009 or whatever.
I personally, like, I read parts of Ultimates, and I read Spectacular. I think that it played more into the Disney Ultimate TV show Peter Parker than it did those.
Yeah, not the Spectacular Spider-Man comic, the Spectacular Spider-Man TV show, which is based on this Ultimate Spider-Man comic is what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, no, I personally think it plays into the Disney animation, like, solidly.
Yeah, because like, that's based on the Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah,
comic.
I know that. Why. But you're, like, arguing that it doesn't.
No, because, like, you're saying, like, it's
TV show.
That's just the Disney version. Like, no, like, that's been a version of Spider-Man since 2000. Like, that's not a new thing. Like, that's been Spider-Man since 2000. Like, they barely just did a new Spider-Man, like, edition, like, now. That's the Spider-Man that people have known since 2000, since we were kids. Like, that's the Spider-Man.
I guess, too, like, I just personally don't really like the Ultimates line in general. The one Ultimates line that I did read, like, extensively was Ultimate X-Men. And I know that, like, the entire, like, background of Ultimates was to make all these old stories relevant to people in the 2000s. I didn't care for a lot of the Ultimate line. And that honestly, like, I just want to say this here. This was a great movie, and it's probably one of the best MCU movies that there is. Like, hands down. Like, this is just me nitpicking my personal preferences on Peter Parker.
I think they take the best elements or, like, comic book nods in The Amazing Spider-Man and put it into this. I think it's the best culmination of different types of Spider-Mans. Like, the originals in, like, Tobey Maguire's, obviously they don't have, like, the Ultimate Spider-Man to draw off of, but they also have the spectacular Spider-Man to draw off of, but it's mostly just Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
This has Spectacular Spider-Man in it. This has Amazing Spider-Man in it, and it has Ultimate Spider-Man in it, from, like, stupid scenes like him not being able to web swing in the suburbs. Like, that's straight Amazing Spider-Man draws.
Yeah.
You know, the rubble scene, Amazing Spider-Man. The fact that he's fighting Vulture first is Amazing Spider-Man draws. I think it has the best aspects of it without the woman beating and the basically just dickishness of the Amazing Spider-Man Peter Parker.
Well, yeah, no, I agree there. Like, I agree with that. Like, I don't think it's bad. I don't think Spider-Man is bad. I just don't think I know Peter Parker as Peter Parker. because that obviously wasn't the focus of the movie. Like his personal life to me, like it didn't mean anything. The whole, like, this was a movie about him becoming Spider-Man and learning what to do as Spider-Man and learning that, like Daddy Iron Man says, you can't just wear the suit.
Yeah, it's an origin story without being an origin story. And the platform that they set lets you, possibly do, having like the Ben Reilly style costumes, like sets up maybe doing stuff for like the Clone Saga. Like the base that it sets lets you think, and he's not even at the Daily Bugle yet. Like there's lots of time for him to have those like personal Peter Parker struggles, but you got to set the universe first, which I think a lot of origin movies don't do.
Yeah, and I think you kind of said it last time too. Like, I just don't like on the Spider-Man episode. I just don't like young Spider-Man. I think that's just what it is.
Well, probably Amazing Spider-Man spends like 30 comics like as in high school.
Yeah, like I think I like personally, like I just don't like that because I do like the intense struggle that happens, and I don't think that type of complexity is there for me in this. I think it can be, but I don't think it is.
No, it definitely can be. Like there's some messed up stuff that happens in like the Ultimate Spider-Man that I think are more so struggles than are in the Amazing Spider-Man, because they're just kind of like superficial struggles and like dated struggles. I think the Ultimate Spider-Man will give you some stuff if they bring it to life, obviously, like in the movie, that I think will be better than the struggles that we've seen in the other movies. Definitely better than the Amazing Spider-Man, like Andrew Garfield movies, because he YouTubed how a battery works. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. No, I think we should transition into, I mean, Matt, do you have any like last input? Because I know that this really got to you.
I just doesn't. I have no emotional connection to this, and that's about it.
Well, and I kind of like just want to ask too, like why? Because I do know like when we did that Spider-Man episode, and I mean, obviously from like hearing you talk about Spider-Man since we've been together, like this is your character. Like where I have X-Men, you have Spider-Man.
Basically, in the episode, I talk about how he relates to everybody. Last time I checked, nobody made me $1 billion suit and covered me for everything, or I had an AI tell me what to do, or basically my nerd friend hanging on and helping me with every single thing and covering for me everywhere I went. The other one was alone. He did everything himself. He wasn't given a suit to basically do everything for him.
So you just
the whole third act is him not even in the suit.
That is literally the only thing that happened to him at all this entire movie as far as consequences. And I know that's bad. I mean, it's great because, I mean, that's what happens. But, I mean, that was cool. But, I mean, get the suit back. I mean, I don't know. I said it was a great movie for what it was. It's fine. Maybe I just moved past that. And I said I'm not a fan necessarily of some of the Ultimate stuff and moving forward. So it just wasn't my preference. Honestly, but that's just it.
Like hands down though, I do think where Matt and I don't connect with the Spider-Man, I can like already I'm imagining a crap ton of little kids who went to go see that, or even like not even little kids, but like 10, 12, 13, 14-year-olds that went to go see that and became Spider-Man fans if they weren't Spider-Man fans already. Like I think that this movie is a great movie to bring somebody new into the fandom. And I think it brings them with open arms while still nodding to everybody who's already been here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm a little older, I guess, and knew a lot of the older stuff. I mean, I went after this happened and obviously went to talk with people, and I just went and started asking everybody I knew that had watched this movie, whatnot. And they all kind of gave me the same, not necessarily, I guess, as in depth or meaningful, but the same answer to like they just didn't relate to this, and this seemed like Spider Kid to them, and he just seemed really weak in this movie. And obviously he's a lot younger, so that is, but it didn't seem like they had the same connection like what they knew from Spider-Man when we were younger. So that was it.
Yeah, and it might just be because we didn't have, or we had the Ultimates, but that wasn't what we were reading, or that wasn't what we were really watching. So I think for us, it's just a disconnect. But I do think, like that being said, like all the stuff I've talked about him not having struggle in the personal life, I think even though he does have help from Tony Stark, I think when he does jailbreak, his Spidey suit to take the training wheels protocol off.
Somebody jailbroke it for him.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Ned jailbroke. After he has Ned jailbreak the Spidey suit, he struggles as Spider-Man, and I think that's really endearing in a superhero. Like, I think that part is still there of, like, he does fall down. He does not know what he's doing, and he is finding out how to use these things with some help from, like, the AI. But I think ultimately, like, I think he is learning in those moments, and I think that he ends up having struggle within that. And he, like that, like you said, like the entire side of Spider-Man, and you can tell that this is where the writing was focused, was building up this father-son role between Tony and Peter, which I thought was really, really well done. And I know that, like, people are giving Tony Stark, like, some crap because I don't think it was good. But I think after Civil War and learning that relationship that Tony had with his father kind of more in depth, I think seeing him interact with Peter are some of the best moments of the film. And having him actually hold Peter accountable, like being there to help him, but also holding him accountable for his choices that are being made as Spider-Man and saying, hey, you can't just go about doing this. I think that's really important. And I think that's what, like you said, Adrian, when he doesn't have the suit in the end, one of the most iconic panels in Spider-Man is Spider-Man fighting out of rubble. And for me, I thought it was really great to see it on film. And I don't want to detract from that. Like, it was a great homage. Like, that was awesome. I just wish I had more of the personal side to build into that, because in that panel, like, it's everything kind of falling on top of him. Whereas this, it's just in the movie, it's him realizing, like, this is a lot harder than I thought it was. I actually learned how to do this myself without relying on the suit. And then he bursts out of it, and, you know, you have great moments there.
Even though he did lose his suit, Ned still basically played Overwatch or whatever he was calling himself, and basically helped him and actually saved him.
But he didn't save him from the rubble.
I'm talking about, like, to even get to the rubble part. But no, I mean, it's good. I think people love this movie. I think it's a great movie for what it is. I don't want to sit here and bash the movie because I thought it was good, especially for what Marvel's been doing for the MCU. It just, like I said, on a personal standpoint, I didn't have any connection with this, unfortunately.
And I do think, too, like, one of the best scenes, I will say, from the personal life side is when you find out that Liz, his love interest, is Vulture's daughter. Like, that entire interaction with him and Michael Keaton in the car is really freaking well acted. Like, Tom Holland does have the acting chops in the future. Bring us, like, some really heavy Spider-Man story arcs. Yeah, Tom Holland's gonna knock it out of the park.
Even in, like, the rubble scene, like, I was legit cry like that. I wasn't crying, but, like, you can see, like, he's legit.
He was emotional.
Yeah, like, he's, like, legit doing
he looks like he's in pain.
Yeah, it's nuts, and that a lot of that comes from him, you know, being, like, actually going to school for this stuff. So we actually have
a trained
good actor.
Yeah.
So I think that's way more powerful than, like, anything any of the other Spider-Mans have done.
I agree there. Yes. I agree there.
That was definitely.
His upside is just out of control. Like, his upside is crazy.
I think if you give Tobey Maguire's storyline to Tom Holland will knock all that crap. Like, it won't even be Spider-Man 2 is the best movie. Like, if Tom Holland acts that, who is Tobey Maguire? Like,
yeah.
Like
no, I can agree with that.
Totally. Yeah, like, he has all the abilities. And I guess, too, like, I think I want Spider-Man at the end. This, like you said, Adrian, this is Spider-Man in the beginning. And I can honestly say I cannot wait to see Tom Holland, even with my gripes with the movie. I can't wait to see him, like, more of him. Like, I want more of him, and I want to see him grow on film because it's going to be outstanding. Plus, he does, like, back handsprings and backflips for days without stunt doubles because he's a gymnast. I know I always bring up representation and stuff, but, like, I thought it was really awesome that, like, I think it was an even more of a curveball because, like, you're, like, the entire movie, if Liz was white, you'd be like, oh, yeah, that they're going to have a family thing here. They're going to have a family thing here. But no, Vulture's in an interracial relationship, and Liz is his daughter.
Yeah,
Like,
I think, and the payoff for that is just like crazy. Like,
so
I don't think
good.
I've met anybody or even like read anywhere online where we're like, oh yeah, I called that. And I'm pretty good at calling stuff, but I was like, it didn't hit me until he was walking up the stairs, and I gripped Stefani's leg, like, oh my god, and then it happened, and then like that whole sequence is just so amazing. Like their interactions was just crazy. Like, and he's like, you can see he's legitimately bothered by it, like as like a mopey teenager would be. Like he's not just gonna forget about it and go have fun at the dance. Like he's like legitimately like, this dude just threatened me with a gun in the car and then told me to go show his daughter a good time. Like that's legitimately scary.
Yeah, like I will do anything for my family. I will kill you.
Yeah,
You'll have a great time. Like Michael Keaton is freaking awesome. Like that, his delivery on that could have been so cheesy.
Yeah, like I think this movie does a good job of giving him a street level villain, but still making that street level villain scary as shit. Yeah. There's no villain in the MCU where I'm like, damn, that's messed up. Like I can't think, like Loki's great as like an actor and like the stuff he does is great, but I'm never like, whoa, that was kind of messed up, Loki. Like that's kind of scary.
Sassy. It's not
like he's like, and Ultron was just like quippy. Like this was like legitimately scary, and he's just like a low level villain trying to jack stuff, and he's like that's scary.
To make a living to support his family.
Yeah, like that's real. Like that's like a legitimate villain right there that would happen like in that time. Like in that time period, there would be people stealing, high tech stuff from rubbling and stuff. Like that's legit.
They set it up because he doesn't even. This is not what he like wanted to do. This is not everything. He just got pushed to the limit where he said, "Screw it, let's just do this."
Yeah, like I have to provide, and I think like that. Like as much as I've like talked bad about some of the parts of this Spider-Man, I'm legitimately excited to see where it goes because like at least like with the Vulture character and their interactions, that villain is freaking real.
Yeah, and I think we obviously don't know what they're going to be doing for like the next movies and stuff, but if they don't do like a Green Goblin thing, I think he plays like the perfect like pseudo Norman Osborn because he knows who he is and he's not telling anybody. Like he's keeping that super close to the chest, even with the guy who we know is going to be Scorpion in probably the next movie, maybe.
Yeah,
I think it's even without Norman Osborn. I don't think I need a Norman Osborn when you have Michael Keaton doing that good of a job as like that archetype of character.
I agree.
So I guess moving forward, because that was an interesting, I guess, almost subplot, since they did sell the Stark Tower, possibly Norman Osborn.
Norman Osborn might be moving into it. That's what I thought.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same.
Which is why the son isn't at the school yet. Maybe he comes in after they move in. And then you get that whole thing.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I'm with you.
Yeah, that's what I thought because I know he mentioned it. As long as he doesn't look like whatever they did with the Spider-Man.
God. 2. Yeah. Just take
God, I didn't even remember that.
And move them out.
I was just
looking James until I saw it pop
James
up.
Franco, and then you said the other one. And I was like, oh wait, yeah, that was
James Franco was good. I like James Franco.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I forgot all about that too until that was brought up again, and then I saw pictures like, oh yeah, I forgot this actually happened. Oh,
I think most people block Amazing Spider-Man out of their minds.
At least the second one.
I'd block them both.
Yeah.
The first one I didn't think was great.
I can't even remember the first one.
Sadly, I probably can't much
same.
either. But at least I knew it wasn't as bad as the second one. Because the second one, I'm like, oh, this was so awful.
Yeah. No, I think Tom Holland is the best choice for this character.
Yes.
Like there's no debating that. Like he was like Tony Stark was written to be played by Robert Downey Jr. Spider-Man was written to be played by Tom Holland.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just hands down.
Yeah.
Like I think it's gonna be good. And I think that's why I have such a gripe with the personal side because I want so much more of it. And it may just be because I'm like, he's really good at it. So
I do want to know what I was kind of at least a little disappointed in. I kind of want to know, obviously I know this was Spider-Man Homecoming movie and whatnot, but I want to see if he had any more, if they were going to show, I guess you teased. Obviously they had the videos with Captain America, but if they were going to show anything with I guess I know they're in post-Civil War, but anything related to that per se.
Because they only nodded it where like the Jim. Yeah. Hannibal Buress is like, oh, he's a fugitive now.
Yeah, he's a war criminal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know if we were going to get any interaction with that because I know at least from the Civil War timeline or storyline that maybe not the MCU one, but the other one that Captain America and Spider-Man.
Well, we do know that Tony Stark was doing something else.
Yes,
because he was not so like. I guess usually we go through the entire movie. We've just been kind of jumping around. Like in the beginning of the movie, he's sending the suits to go and police Peter when he goes out and does stuff he's not supposed to or gets involved in things that can be bad for him, just to keep him safe. And at first it's like, oh, you didn't have to come here. It's like, I didn't come here. This is my suit. I'm talking to you on a phone while I'm in some random foreign country. So I'm sure that's going to play in somewhere because nothing in Marvel is done without setting up something else. So
yeah, I'm fine with it being a little detached, at least in this movie, because like even at the end of the movie, he's like, I think I'm good with being street level.
Yeah,
for now. So I think it's all right. Because I mean, if he would have come out and be like, "Oh, well, I'm Spider-Man," then he would have probably had to. If he would have joined the Avengers, then he might have got more of like the Civil War consequences. He might have had to do like the Sokovia Accords and stuff, which they were teaching about in the school, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, that was actually really cool.
Yeah, there's like so many tie-ins that it was connected, but not distant enough where it was like, oh, well, okay, he's still street level learning Spider-Man.
Yes.
Yeah. I also think too big, or like not the big reveal, but like the fun reveal at the end is Tony Stark proposes to Pepper Potts.
Oh, I'm so glad she was back. I love Pepper Potts.
I do too. I love her so much. And Gwyneth Paltrow was made to play Pepper Potts.
Yeah,
so good. Is awful.
She's as a person. Yes. No,
she is a great Pepper Potts.
Get Goop away. But she's a great Pepper Potts. She's a perfect Pepper Potts, and I think that also lets us know where Tony is. Like Tony is connecting with more people now. Which and it shows us that he didn't shut down after Cap, because after that giant Cap blowout, I would have shut down. I wouldn't have wanted to talk to anybody.
Yeah, like it. Like I know, like people were worried about this being Iron Man 4, which I really don't think it was. Like I think Happy had more scenes than.
Oh yeah, Happy played way more a big role than he did.
But you still get some of like the character development of Tony Stark even in this. Because even like during the ferry scene, which people were like, oh, the ferry scene I saw in the trailers. I didn't watch any trailers, so I thought the ferry scene was amazing. I didn't see any of that stuff coming.
I thought I saw it in Spider-Man 2, but that was better.
I thought this was better. He doesn't do like a weird face again. But just like him checking up on him, like, oh, I thought you quit band like 2 months ago. Like shows that he is actually emotionally and like morally invested in him outside of just coming in and saving the day. Yeah. Like he knows he's been listening to, or like being kept up to date on the voicemails that Peter Parker is like leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. And I think I just really like it because it gives us a different side to Tony. We've seen the drunk Tony. We've seen the PTSD Tony. We've seen the rich playboy Tony. We see the father Tony now, and I actually really like that because
I really like Father Tony. Yeah,
yeah, like I think it gives you a well-rounded Iron Man. I think that it's really great to see him in NBU kind of fleshing out, but it also makes me scared because I know somebody dies in Infinity War, and you don't complete somebody's character development unless you're going to kill them off. That's because I love Robert Downey Jr., so that makes me sad.
I just really hope we see that Iron Man Spidey suit again.
I thought that suit was awesome.
It looked legit.
But I hate Iron Spider, and it resembled Iron Spider.
I thought it looked good.
It looks really good. I'm just worried about Iron Spider. It looked
good. Looked a little bit, but looked like a little mix of like Iron Spider and like why is it escaping me?
Rip.
I can't remember. Oh, like it's like a mix of like the Iron Man spider suit and like the Scarlet Spider, like kind of together a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
That's why I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
They're just doing all kinds of tie-ins in this movie.
Yeah. No, I mean I love the suit. I just don't like Iron Spider.
Gotcha. Can we talk about MJ?
Awesome. Yeah.
That was dumb.
I was like, do we want to? Because I was like, I thought it was dumb. So
yeah,
it was dumb.
I would have been fine with it But with as much as freaking Zendaya was actually like promoting this movie, she did nothing. I got nothing out of it. So the big like, you can call me MJ, that meant nothing to me. It meant nothing. It was pointless.
Yeah. It was like the only problems I had with the movie was Flash Thompson and MJ. It was just so dumb. Like you didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
There was no reason for you to do it. I'm just hoping they make her like, oh, her name's just MJ, but like
she moves away and they get a new character.
Away, but like hopefully like it's like Michelle Jameson or something, and they just try to like
no, she has a different name. It's not Mary Jane.
I know it's not Mary Jane, but they could easily, but like knowing movies and stuff, and as much as she was like in the promotion for this movie, like they could easily make her MJ.
Yeah.
If they wanted to. But I'm just hoping that they just like make her,
go away.
Something else.
I didn't like it. I mean,
MJ.
I felt nothing for her. Like I don't, and this goes back to what I was saying. Like a lot of the side characters were throwaway characters and I didn't care about them except for Ned. I loved me some Ned.
I liked her character. I thought she was funny. I thought she played like the edgy, I don't care about anything kind of person. But that's not what Mary Jane is, and like that's my problem with it. Like I don't have a problem with like that character. I have a problem with that character not being Mary Jane. If they would have made her Mary Jane and she would have been how Mary Jane is in like comics and continuity, that would have been okay. It's the same problem I have with Flash. Like you can make those characters different than the comics in terms of like diversity, but at least make them like resemble
the character in the comics. Yeah.
Make them at least resemble, personality wise. Like that. That's nothing like Mary Jane. Like, make them fit the arc.
The race isn't important for the character. Just make them fit the damn arc. Make them fit the story.
A lot of redheads out there will disagree with you.
Are the redheads really mad?
Can you name any other famous redhead?
That's a fair point.
Yeah, that is a fair point.
That's what I'm saying. Like
there aren't any other redheads.
Which is like people like made a big deal. I'm like, she needs to be redhead, and they're like, oh, whatever, white redhead. No, like redheads don't get much. Seems like. But that was one character. I
couldn't even make her redhead. But hold on, man, she's not Mary Jane. And I'm just like angry for nothing. But it's just one of the things I hope they change in the thing. It's not enough to make me like not like the movie, obviously. But it's just when in the theater, like I rolled my eyes so hard.
Yeah, that's how I did on that card.
Yeah, I also want to point out too, like I think you kind of just reiterate what you said, Adrian. Like it doesn't matter that Zendaya played MJ. It was just that she was MJ, and it was a poorly built MJ. It was a poorly constructed idea of MJ.
Yeah, I would have much preferred like some new girl coming into the school at the end.
Yeah,
and asking what her name is. Like, oh, that's MJ. Like, oh, sweet. You just set up, the love interest.
Somebody that you had not seen the entire time.
Yeah,
just
I would have liked that.
Then you can do the call me MJ scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then Flash just wasn't Flash. Like I have no problem with him being that actor. It's just like you did nothing to actually make Peter feel bad.
The only problem I have with that actor was I guess because he's played in a lot more comedy roles, at least one of them. He doesn't seem, I guess, imposing when you compare him towards Peter. Like when they go face to face or look at each other, he's not imposing at all.
He doesn't
in any
look
way.
comfortable doing that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he doesn't look
he's like a super nice
smart
guy
or anything. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This just seems totally forced.
Yeah, they've played the character down so much that when the actor actually has to do it, it's just kind of like and I think that there are just some actors who can't move in between those two different types of personalities. But yeah, so I guess as always, where do you all rank it? Adrian?
In terms of like comic book movies, probably I don't know, maybe like 6 or 7, maybe 5 in that range.
Are you including all the comic book movies?
Yeah.
Or just MCU movies? Okay.
I'm just thinking MCU.
MCU.
I mean, the only comic book movie that I put like in like my top 5 or top 10 would be like Dark Knight. Really, I don't like any of the other ones really. I liked it better than I liked Wonder Woman, so it's definitely my favorite comic book movie of the year.
Better than Logan?
Did Logan come out this year? Was that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this was so long ago. Oh yeah, it was like in March.
Yeah.
I'm in like summer movie mode. Yeah, I mean, below Logan, above Wonder Woman.
Guardians?
In terms of like above Guardians too.
Okay.
I liked Guardians 2, but it's definitely not one of my favorites of the year. And for Spider-Man movies, it's my favorite Spider-Man movie, with Spider-Man 2 coming in at a close second, because I really enjoy Spider-Man 2.
Matt?
I have to put it below Logan. Guardians. I had more fun with Guardians. Like I said, maybe I'm too old. It was Spider Kid in some way to me, so I couldn't in other stuff. But yeah, a little bit below Guardians. Better than Wonder Woman. As far as Spider-Man 2 still beat this one.
And then overall,
what do you mean out of thing? It's just hard for me because I think as an overall movie and everything that they did and how they did it, I think it's up there as far as like it's well done, one of the best movies, like you said. But as far as just personal preference, it's just probably maybe in the top 5 down there.
Does it beat the Thors?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, come on, don't disrespect this
Yeah.
movie. Don't bring it to any floors.
I mean, that's not
I
saying
don't know.
much.
If you listen to her Meet the Editor, Asa puts those Thors in his top 5. So
Well, Asa is British and knows nothing, obviously. So 1776, fool. Come on.
That's when history began.
Exactly.
Kate?
Yeah, so for me, I think overall, Spider-Man 2 is gonna take the cake for me. This is I have and I like texted a couple of friends about I have complicated feelings because I acknowledge how good of a movie it is. I guess kind of like Matt said, but it wasn't the Spidey I wanted. But if I just put that aside, it definitely falls. Probably it's top 10 for me. I would put it. Logan's better. I guess within the top 10, I would put it. I guess Wonder Woman was my 10, so I'd put it above Wonder Woman for sure. I'd put it above Guardians 1, and then I'd put that, and then I'd put everything else up, excluding Thor's and Hulk's and all that crap.
Speaking of which, just a quick comment. I completely forgot Hulk was even around until when I did the thing with Asa, and he mentioned the Hulk, and I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot that was actually a movie.
Oh, we don't talk about those.
Mark Ruffalo, that's it.
Yeah. Do you think so? I think why I like Spider-Man 2 so much is because it just improved. It does what good sequels are supposed to do. You're supposed to improve off the original thing. Do you think that Spider-Man Homecoming, this Spider-Man, has a higher, do you think the ceiling for this one is higher than the Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire?
Yes.
What story arc are we using? Or what are we able to bring in, I guess?
I mean, you can literally bring in anything in these next movies. I think that's
the
why
potential from it, what it sets up.
That's why I think Spider-Man 3 did so bad, because you put the Green Goblin and then the next movie you did Doc Ock. You put 2 of the biggest villains he ever faces right away. I think there's more room for you to do things like Sinister Six or the Clone Saga, or Venom's going to be in the universe, so you can do that eventually too.
I honestly don't think you can do Venom in this MCU.
I think if you do Venom, it has to be way down the line.
I mean, that's not besides my point. I'm just asking if you think
sorry,
the ceiling is higher for this
I totally got off on there.
I think it's because we know a Venom movie's coming. I think that's why I said that.
Yeah.
You want me to answer?
Yes, you answer.
Okay. I do think the ceiling is higher. I think Spider-Man and MCU Spider-Man 2, I think will blow Spider-Man 2 out of the water. That much I do say. And I put that solely in Tom Holland's capability to act.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Do you think Spider-Man Homecoming 2, whatever they decide to name it, will be, better than this or better than any of the other ones?
Yeah, and I
think so as well. I think it's going to be amazing if they do what they did here and translate it and give you a hard storyline that's going to make you feel stuff, because he can make you feel. I think they'll do great. Yeah,
and I also think too, I just want more Michael Keaton.
Same. and please do Sinister Six. Please do it.
And I think too, it has that ceiling has to be high because the next phase is going to be riding on Spidey's back.
Yeah.
So.
Oh shit, we forgot to mention spider sense.
Licensing.
A lot of people were mad that he didn't have his spider sense.
I actually was upset, and everybody I talked to was actually very upset about it.
But
I mean, Spider Sense not having Uncle Ben in it. I think there's like more things to be upset about other than not having Spider Sense. I don't care about Uncle Ben. You know he has it. Well, Spider-Man, of course.
I guess that was the whole thing.
They said he didn't have it. It's not he has it, and it's late. Like they said, he does not have Spider Sense.
And I'm sorry.
That was a conscious choice.
It's not their fault. I mean, you gotta differentiate something.
It was a conscious choice to take it away.
I thought it was because it was like licensing and stuff, and they didn't want to like connect it to the.
No, they just no.
Okay, this is our review for Spider-Man: Homecoming. If you think we left anything out, make sure you let us know, and we will talk about it. We're always looking for interaction, and I actually wanted to make sure that I give a shout out to I'm probably gonna mispronounce this, but at Laushin Volpus. I'm not sure, but I talked with you on Twitter about the terrible Flash idea. We had a really constructive conversation about some of the stuff that I felt that it left out. The Spider-Man: Homecoming left out. So always at us. I am at OhMyMythRandy on Twitter and Instagram. Adrian?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at SuperRuiz93, SuperRuiz 93.
And Matt?
Find me on Twitter at DATM18, DATTM18.
And you can find the podcast at ButWhyDoPC on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We will respond there as well. I'll put some Spider-Man music here. Bye, guys.